And by the way, I do have a YouTube page, which, as I speak to you right now, I am actually filming this that'll go up a little bit later on today. And there's nothing spectacular about the videography. It's just an iPhone in front of my fat face. And off we go. Okay. So, we had another shooting yesterday. I could almost say that every single day, where there's another shooting, another shooting, another shooting, another shooting. And I suppose that we're supposed to just accept it, right? I suppose. I mean, if you look, mass shootings in 2022, I read you a list of mass shootings from the year 2012 through 2022. But I changed the definition. I made it people who were, or 10 people or more that were shot, and that still was, it took us almost 10 minutes to read through it. But in just 2022, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Well, I mean, I'm looking at this page, and mass shootings, there are 15 since May 21st, with the mass shooting being 3 or more people being shot. That would be the definition. And there's a page that was sent to me, and I keep clicking on it, thinking that it'll get to the end, but there is no end. Like, it's shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting. I mean, probably so what was there, 25 per page? So, I mean, I'm not even to April 15th, and there's already over 100 in the United States. So, I don't want to spend every second of the show discussing this. I mean, we do have our regular cast of characters, but we do have one special guest in the 9 o'clock hour. But Doc Foley will join us, and Colonel Rob Simmons will join us. And, usually, Doc, we focus more on healthcare, and Rob, we let Rob kind of guide the ship. Wherever he wants to go that day, we go. He brings in tons of research, and we discuss whatever it is that he wants to discuss. But at 9:05, Steve Williford will join me. It's the second time I've gotten a chance to talk to him. And he's got an interesting story, one you need to stick around for. If you don't remember the name, he is the guy that confronted a shooter down in Texas and ended up, getting the credit for, well, the guy killed himself, but supposedly this guy hit him multiple times. Anyway, I'll let him tell the story, but that's coming up at 9:05. But I understand that we've been having this discussion about this for a week now, right? And prior to that, every time there's a shooting, we have a discussion for a couple of days, a week. And then we find other things to talk about. It goes away, and there's another shooting. Now, like I said, there's essentially some kind of a mass shooting where there are multiple people shot, almost 5, 6, 7 times a day. I mean, I'm looking at this list, and pardon me, I know you can't see it, but by their definition, which is 3 people being shot. 1, 2, 3. 3 on May 30th. 7 on May 29th. 5 on May 28th. It's across the country. 2 on the 27th. 1 on the 25th. 1 on the 24th. 3 on the 23rd, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Different places around the country. North Charleston, Cleveland, Philly, Stanwood, Anniston, Memphis, Colorado Springs. These are some of the towns. So, we all understand, I think, that there's a mental health issue to this, right? That is clear. There are people out there who are mentally ill. There are people out there who are just evil. There are people out there who want their 15 minutes of fame. There are people out there who are so angry at something that it causes them to lash out. I guess all things can come under the heading of mental illness, I guess. Right? I mean, if your girlfriend dumps you and then you see her out with another guy 2 days later, and you take out your handgun and you shoot them both, and then you shoot the bartender and you shoot the waitress and then you shoot yourself, well, I mean, you've gone through some kind of mental instability. I mean, I don't know if you're crazy, right? It's rage. Maybe you are crazy. You're crazy in that moment, for sure. But are there different levels of crazy that we need to look at? Because what happened down in Texas is a certain type of crazy. Adam Lanza is a certain type of crazy, right? When you plot out to kill babies, that takes a certain level of evil behind crazy. And I don't know how you stop that, right? And I was listening to, and I'll play some of it tomorrow. I can't turn it around in time today, but play some of a conversation between Nugent, who's not my favorite person in the world, and Joe Pax, who I do like. But they're both spot on. And this is something I've said. I mean, I've said this for 15 years since I've been on the air. You're not getting rid of all the guns. They're not going anywhere, right? And Pags made that great comment a couple minutes ago, again, in this podcast I was listening to, which was echoing something Ted Nugent has said. They're not going to go anywhere. You're not getting 1 billion guns off of American streets. Not happening. Even if you wrote a law tomorrow, people aren't giving them up. And as I said to you, again, 100 times, if you try to enact some kind of legislation where cops are going to come door to door, you're going to have a civil war. You are. That would be certainly one of the examples or reasons behind a complete, all-out, us against them, you against me civil war. It would happen, right? Because people live their life by the creed of the Constitution, many people, many good people. And part of that belief is that you cannot come and take what I use to protect myself, period. End of story. Which is what we've been talking, which I've been trying to talk about here for the past X amount of years, and in particular last week. Can we figure out a way where law-abiding citizens are unscathed, yet somehow, some way, we make the crazy, or make it harder for the crazies to get their hands on guns? I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Maybe there's not a way. And if that's the case, are you okay with waking up every couple days to another shooting, or every day to another shooting? I mean, you can't be okay with it. Nobody can. Nobody can be okay with this. Roll out of bed, oh, check your phone, 5 other people dead. Roll out of bed the next day, oh, 15 people shot. Oh, okay, 7 people shot, 9 people shot, okay. Hey, honey, where's the coffee? Where's this? Where's that? Brush it off. Then, you know what happens? Then society's crazy. If society accepts this, then society itself is insane. How many of you now are honestly, be honest. You don't have to tell me. You can be honest with yourself. If you're listening, be inside your own head. How many people have changed their habits in the last 5-6 months because of some of the shootings? How many people are, let's say, more cognizant of their surroundings? Isn't that a certain kind of intellectual prison or freedom prison that you're in, right? Maybe you change the idea. You're not going to go to the supermarket anymore until late at night or something like that, or early in the morning, or somewhere where you think there's not a lot of people. Or maybe you've decided not to go to concerts, not because of COVID, but you're afraid someone may take a gun out and shoot everybody. Or you don't go to the casino because you're waiting for that to happen there. I mean, it's okay. I'm sure that the people out there who are changing their habits because of what they watch, I think it's probably higher than you think. But nobody's been able to, or nobody's smart enough to come up with a solution to a problem that's a real problem. I mean, should there be psychological evaluations prior to a purchase of guns? Maybe, do you need that? And then 4, 5, 8 years later, need another psych eval? My guess is most people would be against that. Should you go through a safety course before you purchase a gun? I would think so. Makes sense. Should you have to go through some kind of physical training on how to operate a gun after you buy one? I mean, it seems like it makes sense. Should you age restrict? Now, this is one that's a hot button issue now. A lot of folks out there say, I mean, it's probably 50-50. Maybe that's probably 40-60 split. Wanting to make it a little more difficult for 18-year-olds. And people make a good point. It's an arbitrary number. Why 18? Why not 17? Why not 14? Why not 25? I don't know. I'm just, in the discussions that we've had, 18 is when you can buy one. So if you push it back, does it make sense to give somebody who has raging hormones and issues and what have you, maybe giving people who are in the know a little bit more time to see if that person should have access to these weapons? I'm just throwing it out there. And, I'm guilty of this. I think we should fortify our schools. I think there's, that's something that is easy. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me, although Biden basically poo-pooed that yesterday in one of his comments. But even if we fortified the schools completely, right, made them literally fortresses with one entrance and armed guards and all of that, metal detectors. And I think that would be great. I do. I think that we're living in a time where that's necessary. And I know people probably shrugging their shoulders or making a face saying that's not how I want my kid to go to school. What you want your kid to go to school and be safe when you drop them off. I would think that is the most important thing. And the times that we're living in this unsolved chaos that we live in, I would think it's better safe than sorry. But even if we did do that and fortify the schools completely, right? And I don't know how you protect the kids when they go out for recess, right? I don't know how to do that. But I also don't know, how would you protect them at the mall or a GameStop or a Chuck E. Cheese or the park? You wouldn't. You can't. You can't protect them everywhere. But, I mean, if these schools seem to be the target as of right now, and you fortify the schools, and at least you have one place where you think you can drop your kids off and not fear that someone's going to come rolling through. I mean, obviously nothing is perfect. But someone sent me an email, which was the last line of the email, spot on. If government fears people, you have a democracy. If you have people who are afraid of the government, you have tyranny. And that's the reason why the Second Amendment is so important. And to shrug that off is just, you're wrong. As I've illustrated throughout the entire week, with different examples of countries that have slaughtered their own citizens to the tunes of tens of millions. Whether it be Cambodia or China or Russia, that list is also very, very long. So, all right, that's how we begin. And we will track down Doc Foley. He'll be our first guest. Maybe we'll do a little rip and read. Colonel Simmons. And again, Steve Williford a little bit later on. Stick around. It's going to be a good show. Once again, you're listening to 94.9 News Now and Stimulating Talk, and I thank you for doing it. Oh.